What's up and what's happening, y'all? Welcome to episode number 4 of the TPE, the Pivot Experience, where we push progress over perfection, where we push getting out of your comfort zone, and we push steering the ship that we call life, steering your ship in the direction that you would want to have it in. My name is Alex Seal, and I am delighted to be you guys' host and guide for today. I have had the luxury of having 15 years of organizational leadership experience via my job and position at Chick-fil-A, where I currently serve as the executive director. And through those years, between working and some of my own entrepreneurial pursuits, I've gathered and gained a lot of valuable information that I've elected to share with you all via this medium, YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So I definitely would appreciate if you guys would like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you can find the Pivot Experience. Whether you enjoy consuming the Pivot Experience, we thank you for your subscribership and your viewership as an audience member. And on today's episode, we're going to really dive into something that I feel like is applicable to anyone, any level of leadership. And it doesn't have to even be a level of leadership. If you're starting out day 1, day 100, day 1,000 on the job, I think this is something that definitely any and everyone can do, even at home, at school, wherever you might find yourself. This particular topic is, I think, relevant to whatever it is that you're a part of, and that is real feedback. Yep. Feedback. It doesn't sound like the most appealing or the most powerful subjects, but giving real feedback, timely feedback, I think is something that every organization, every household, every school community, every community in general can benefit from if done right, if done well. I believe feedback is a powerful tool that every leader has in their arsenal to be able to make their teams better, to make their businesses better, to make their organizations, their homes better. But it's all about how we go about delivering feedback, how we go about picking and choosing when it's appropriate to give feedback, just what that analysis looks like and what that process looks like. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about today, particularly in 3 key areas. And that would be, picking your battles. Number one, the number one thing I wanted to kind of touch on is picking your battles. Number 2 is realizing that individuals have value. I think sometimes when we deliver feedback, we negate any value that a person presents. And so definitely want to dig into, making sure that we acknowledge and realize that everyone has value. And then the third, and I think this is the most important piece of it, is owning why you have to deliver feedback. Why is it important for you to take on the responsibility and offering feedback to whomever it is, whether that's spouse, child, co-worker, your superiors, your subordinate, no matter what level that person is currently operating in. I think you have to really take ownership and the why behind you have to deliver feedback. So those are the 3 things that I'm going to canvas today. 1, picking your battles. 2, realizing that all individuals have value. And 3, owning the reason why you have to deliver feedback. So let's just jump right in to our first subject, which is picking your battles. We just don't want to offer feedback just to offer it. I think most of your feedback, if not all of it, should be results driven, results based. Every organization, every community, every school, pretty much any thing you're a part of, typically they're goal driven, whether those goals are directly or explicitly outlined and described, or sometimes they're kind of just known. Whatever that the case may be, I think that any feedback that's delivered should be a reflection of what the efforts are and what the focus is of that season, or during that period, or during that quarter. So I think that's very important to realize. Sometimes there's feedback that's ongoing that involves protocols, or if you have a handbook, a rule book, or certain things that may not be explicitly a part of your focus for that quarter or for that season that you have to provide feedback on. But I just, in my mind as a leader, I think it's really important for us to have discernment or have wisdom when it comes down to picking and choosing, or picking our battles on when we deliver feedback, because no matter how you frame it, no matter how uh, you put the package to feedback, and I'm going to touch on that just in a second, but no matter how you package it, any level of feedback is going to have some negative connotation, where the person who you are delivering the feedback to is going to feel some tension. It's going to be some level of tension, some level of just distance between you and the individual, or the set of individuals that you're delivering the feedback to. So that's why I feel like it's important that you choose wisely when you decide to deliver that feedback, and especially making sure that it's geared towards what your goals are. Making sure that when you're giving feedback, it is focused around whatever it is that you're focusing in on your organization for. And that could come in various forms, whether it's you wanting to increase accountability in your organization, if you're chasing a particular sales goal, if you're chasing a particular profitability goal, whatever those goals are, the bulk of your feedback should be centered around whatever that goal is. The bulk of your feedback that you give to anybody should be centered around whatever your goal or your purpose is during that season. Because again, you don't want to create too many points of tension that do not align with where the direction is that you're trying to go for that moment. So that, I think that's really, really important to realize, is that pick your battles. Again, there will be instances where you're going to have to deliver feedback based on the level of the offense or the level of the observation that doesn't exactly align with what I just said in terms of evaluating the season. However, I think it's really important that you limit that amount of feedback, because you don't want to create too much of a distance. And I think about things in this context. Relationships as like a bank account almost. On a day-to-day basis, when we're offering encouragement, which we should be offering encouragement, it's like us making positive deposits into that person's bank account, into our relationship bank account that we have with each other. But then once we start to have to coach or provide feedback, then we're making withdrawals on that account. And so we want to make sure that we're not making withdrawals that are running us into the negative, or run us into the situation where we'll overdraft on a relationship that we have with the individual. So that's why I think it's very important to, when you offer feedback, make sure that it's targeted, make sure that it's focused on the goal that you have for that quarter, or the goal that you have for that season. Because again, I think you are creating an opportunity to create tension, and you don't want to you want to have healthy tension that brings you towards a place of resolution, and brings you closer to what those goals that you have within your organization is. And so that, number one, picking and choosing those battles, understanding and being in tune with what the objective is for your organization, your home, your community involvement, and then offering feedback that reflects what those goals are, and offering feedback that mirrors the objectives that you guys are trying to get accomplished. I think is very important. And again, this is something that no matter what, you could be at the top of the organization, mid, or entry level. This line of thought, or this first item that I'm discussing, is applicable in that area. So definitely want to take advantage of picking and choosing your battles when it comes down to feedback. You gotta deliver feedback. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, you just want to be wise when you decide to do so. Keep that in mind. The second piece of this episode in this conversation is realizing that every individual has value. I think it's very important when you are delivering feedback to anybody that you acknowledge the value that person presents to the organization. Now, hopefully, if you're doing your job as a leader, you're perpetually giving kudos and you're perpetually giving feedback that's positive, because I'm a firm believer that the people on our teams are doing more good than bad. I think our lenses or our antennas are usually tuned towards trying to find the things that are going wrong in our organizations, or the things that a person is doing bad, that we can harp on. But I think there's a lot of times there's more good happening than the bad, and I think sometimes us as leaders, we don't take the opportunity to really acknowledge the things that are going well, or the things that a person on our team is doing good. But if you are being an effective leader and you are delivering that positive feedback, or doing that positive coaching ongoing, when you have moments where you have to deliver feedback that can be perceived as negative, when you are assessing that person's value, and again, this is the second point, realizing the value of that the individual possesses. Once you're looking at that value from that person, or you seeing what that person has to offer, it won't really come as a surprise to that individual what you're saying about them, because it's something that you're already telling them that's important. Because a lot of times we get into these sessions of feedback where we're delivering timely feedback. It's a battle that's appropriate for us to engage in. It's something that an individual may be doing that doesn't align with what our primary goal is for that season. It doesn't align with the direction that we're trying to go in that season, and you have to deliver that feedback. And then great method in delivering feedback is acknowledging that value. But if this is the first time someone has heard you acknowledge them doing a good job in the area that they're doing good at, and then you come behind that with something that they can improve upon, it really kind of makes that feedback not seem genuine or real. If you've never said it before. So that's, just kind of a tidbit of advice from me as a leader, and being a leader for as long as I have, is that, hey, you always want to try to offer those positive critiques or that positive coaching throughout the time you spend with that individual. Even if it's time where you're not with that person, you might send them a text, or send them an email, or write them a thank you note for the things that they've done well. And when it's time to offer feedback, because this will come, no matter if you're in tune with your people, if you're in tune with your organization or business, if you're in tune with your vision, there will be a time where I can guarantee you that you will have to have some form of feedback with every individual on your team. And so that's why it's important that you're continuing to have continuous positive pour in. So when you sit down with them and you're assessing their value, and you're kind of reiterating the value that you've already alerted them to, it doesn't seem disingenuous. Like, it doesn't seem non-genuine. It feels real, because, like, okay, I've heard you say these words before, so I know this is how you truly feel. You're not just telling me this or trying to prop me up to tear me down in the true form of feedback that you want to provide. So realizing an individual's value in the moment of the feedback, but more importantly, realizing that value when it's time for not having feedback. I think a lot of leaders drop the ball on this particular thought, because they only want to bring up the good things when it's time to bring up the bad things. It's like, okay, you should be perpetually realizing that person's value, and inevitably as a leader, you're going to come to an impasse where it's like, okay, well, there's some things we need to sit down and talk about. There's some things that we need to address. And so with you having that understanding that there will be a moment where you have to do that, continuously realizing that person's value is important. But then, so when you get into the actual session of feedback, however that's happening, whether it's via video conferencing, or whether that's face to face, or over the phone, or via email, when you lead with the positivity, it's going to feel even more genuine, because that individual is going to realize that you're telling them stuff that you've already told them before. So it's going to just reaffirm and enforce those positive things. And I think it's really going to make your feedback stick and land a little bit more, because then that individual, you've already got positive rapport with that person, because you've already been giving them positive coaching. You guys already have a positive relationship built based that's centered around the positive coaching and the positive feedback that you've been providing them. You're an illustration of what that feedback is, or you complement those positive attributes that person has. So when you compliment an individual's value, and then you acknowledge it, And then you perpetually acknowledge it, not just when it's time to offer feedback. I think when the level of feedback that you provide definitely has a better chance of being adhered to, or behaviors being changed, because then at that point that the relationship is already established and you guys are already in a working flow, if that makes sense. So number one, again, just doing backtrack a little bit, we're going to pick and choose our battles in relation to what our goals are and what our purpose is for that season. We're not just going to give frivolous feedback just to give it, unless it's something that we deem absolutely necessary, something that may hurt culture, something that may hurt the overall trajectory of where our organization is going. If it's either that or something that's focused towards what it is that we're trying to accomplish in the season. Again, we want to focus on making positive deposits with our teams, and with the individuals that we interact with, and not all negative withdrawals. So just make sure we keep that in mind. Number two, realizing a person's value perpetually, not, all the time, not just during a period of feedback. It's critical that we highlight those things when we're offering feedback as well. But we don't all that shouldn't be the only time that you are delivering positive feedback to the individual, because again, you're wanting to build up your positive capital, or your positive standing with the individual in their relationship. And so when it's time for you to offer some level of feedback, you've got some positive balance in that account with that person. So when you're bringing those positive things up and realizing that value, they've already understand that you already feel this way. And so the feedback that you're going to give them, they realize that it's genuine, that you're being real with them, and I think that you have their best interest in mind and their growth in mind whenever you're offering that feedback. And last and certainly not least, is only the why you have to deliver the feedback. And I think this is, in my opinion, going to be the most important point of this, because a lot of times I think leaders or persons in the organization, when you have a high level of care for the people that you work for, or you have a high, in which every leader should. Let me back up a little bit here. Every leader should have a high level of care for every person that they serve, or every person that they lead, right? Number one. So when it comes down to offering feedback, a lot of times there might be an internal rub with between the person who is tasked with delivering that feedback, and the individual who needs the feedback. And I'll just tell you, and this is the hardest thing to realize, is that you have to look out for the betterment. And listen to me clear here. You have to look out for the betterment of the organization that you represent, or the organization that you're tasked to lead. And when you're doing that, you're ultimately saying, I'm looking out for not only the business or myself, but I'm also looking out for the individual who needs to receive the feedback. If it's my goal to help our teams to be as successful as possible, and to help as many people progress and develop and grow, then it's imperative that I deliver feedback that promotes their growth, within the organization, that promotes their growth individually, that promotes their growth as for the teams as a collective. And so that's, you have to really be in tune with the why of the organization, your position in that why, understand the vision, understand the purpose for the season, and the purpose for not only the season, but just the ongoing purpose of the organization, or the business, or the entity that you're involved with. But it's owning that, and owning the results that is generated in that area, and saying, you know what, I really have to talk to this individual or this set of individuals about topic A, B, and C, because these three things that I feel like need to be corrected are detrimental to the short and long term health of what we're trying to accomplish. And not only is that detrimental from a broad statement, but it impacts and affects each individual that's associated with that entity or that organization. I'll take myself for example. The way I look at what I do at work, occupationally, is that I'm blessed and fortunate to be able to partner in managing close to 200 individuals, and so I take the responsibility and I take on the accountability for I play a role in ensuring that those individuals are able to support themselves, put food on their tables, and take care of the business that they need to take care of. And if we have individuals on our team or in our business that detracts from that takes away from our opportunity to be able to do that, it's up to me to provide feedback that gets us back into alignment, that steers us back towards the direction that we need to go in. And I own that. um, I just like I said, I have the opportunity to be able to lead, 200 some odd people, and so in a sense, we're depending on each other to be able to help each other um, feed our families, take care of the things that we need and some of our wants. And so if I don't step up and say something, and if I don't step up and own the reason why I need to deliver feedback, then at that point I'm doing a disservice to the other 200 individuals that I'm not committing to the organization's health. The healthier the organization, the more that one we can help the individuals that are currently part of our organization. Two, the more we can help other people who aren't a part of our organization in the future, in terms of when we continue to grow and continue to hire and continue to provide more opportunities to our community. And so feedback, owning the fact that you need to give feedback, and owning the fact that you have to step up and speak up on behalf of what's going on in the organization is very important. It's wildly important that you just embrace it. There's no reason why that you should run away from it. So those are my three key points of relation when it comes down to the why that we didn't need to deliver real feedback. And I'll just kind of review those 3 points again. The first point was picking your battles. Pick and choose the moments where you give feedback, because again, you don't want to create the representation that you're always making negative deposits, that you're always seeking opportunities just to be negative. Your feedback needs to be calculated. It needs to reflect what the season is, what the purpose is, what you're trying to accomplish overall in your organization. Number two, you need to realize the individual's value. So there's two segments to this. One, obviously, during the actual the session of feedback, you need to realize what value a person has. But prior to that session of feedback, you should be giving you should be assessing that a person's value all the time. Not just when it's time to sit down and give the feedback, or deliver an evaluation, but it's perpetually making those deposits, and acknowledging and appreciating a person's value is critical to when the times when you have to give the feedback. You're going to have a nice padding and a nice bridge of connection with that individual that you're delivering the feedback to. If you had already built up the base of positive feedback with that individual. And third, but certainly not least, is just owning the why that you have to deliver feedback. I think this is something that's uncomfortable for most people. Giving the feedback to people, because again, it's tensions. It's a point of agitation. It's a point where you don't feel comfortable, but you really have to own your why. You have to really be in tune and in alignment with the organization's purpose, the organization's tone and goal for the time, and understand your role as the leader in that. And like I said, for me, I serve as the executive director, so ultimately, things kind of really rest on my shoulders as far as, do we step up and address certain things or not? And so I have to take ownership of my role and responsibility to the other people that are working there. And I have to say, sir, ma'am, hey, I love what you've done, and that. I'll tell you all the time, I appreciate what you do here and there. However, it's just this other action that you choose to do or take advantage of is something that's detrimental to the whole. And so you have to get comfortable in being able to acknowledge things that that puts a barrier between you and the business, or the other people who are trying to succeed in the business. So, man, this has been an incredible episode. Definitely thankful if you guys are rocking with me this long. Hopefully, there was something that was said that will help you on your journey of being a leader and steering the direction of your life. If there's anything that you want to add or elaborate on that I talked to, please feel free to add your comments into the comment section. And as always, man, shout out to my family, my wife and my children, for allowing me to have the space and for me allowing me to have the time to be able to pour into this effort of creating this content that I feel like is going to help grow and build the next generation of great leaders, and add value to the current generation of leaders. This is something that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about people development, leadership development, and I definitely think this is a lane that I can thrive in, and I can help other people thrive in as well. And so, as always, love who you are, love what you do, and strive to be the best version of yourself. And until next time, I'm out.